Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Tua Tagovailoa walked into the press room on Tuesday with a calm smile, his trademark humility intact, but there was a glint in his eye, quite literally. Just 2 days earlier, that same left eye had been swollen completely shut, a freak condition that nearly kept him off the field against the Atlanta Falcons. Yet there he was, not only starting for the Miami Dolphins, but carving up the Falcons' defense for 4 touchdown passes in a statement 34-10 win. And now, as the Dolphins gear up for a Thursday night clash against the Baltimore Ravens, Tua says one thing is staying for sure: the visor. Not because he needs it anymore, but because, in his own words, the guys like the visor. It's a simple comment, said with a grin, but in Tua's world, those little things, the camaraderie, the routine, the superstition, often go a long way. It's kind of poetic, isn't it? A quarterback who's been through so much, concussions, injuries, doubts from fans and media alike, now finds a small piece of comfort behind a tinted piece of plastic. On Sunday, that visor wasn't just a fashion choice or a safety precaution. It was almost symbolic. He had woken up with an eye so swollen he could barely see, but after some quick work from the medical team, he was cleared to play. Most quarterbacks might have taken a seat, or at least considered it. But not Tua. He stepped onto that field with limited vision, trusting his reads, trusting his instincts, and trusting the guys around him. What followed was arguably his best game of the season. 20 completions on 26 attempts, for touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The Dolphins' offense looked fluid, creative, and alive, something fans had been begging to see since the disappointing loss to the Cleveland Browns a week prior. That Browns game was brutal. There's no sugarcoating it. Tua threw 3 interceptions, got benched late, and walked off the field looking visibly frustrated. You could sense the pressure mounting, the murmurs about whether he was the long-term answer, the social media noise about the Dolphins needing to make a change. And that's when rookie Quinn Ewers entered the scene. The former Texas Longhorns star, drafted in the 7th round earlier this year, had been waiting for his moment. When Tua was pulled, Ewers took the field and managed to go 5-for-8 with 53 passing yards. Nothing spectacular, but for a young guy seeing his first real NFL action, it was serviceable. He didn't throw a touchdown or a pick, but he also didn't exactly set the world on fire. The Dolphins' offense stalled, and the Browns ran away with the win. Fast forward a week, and everything changed again. Tua came back with something to prove, and it showed from the very first snap against Atlanta. His decision-making was crisp, his ball placement sharp, and the energy on the sideline electric. It wasn't just about stats, it was about leadership. This was a quarterback reclaiming control of his narrative. When he talked after the game, there was a humility in his tone, but also a sense of determination. "I know I have to be a lot better," he said. "I've been better for the Miami Dolphins in years past. But this isn't years past, this is this year." That line hit hard because it shows Tua gets it. He understands the NFL doesn't care about what you did last season or the season before that. It's a league that constantly asks, "What have you done for me lately?" And on Sunday, he answered that question emphatically. The visor, of course, became the talking point. Fans loved it. Teammates teased him about it. Even opposing players commented on how cool it looked. But beyond the aesthetics, it's also a reminder of how unpredictable football can be. One morning you wake up barely able to open your eye. By nightfall, you're tossing 4 touchdowns and walking off to cheers. When asked if he'd keep the visor, Tua laughed. "I think the guys like the visor," he said. "So I'll stick with the visor." It's a small thing, but in sports, especially football, players cling to those small things. Maybe it's superstition. Maybe it's comfort. Or maybe it's just Tua being Tua, the kind of guy who keeps things light even in the most intense moments. Meanwhile, the depth chart behind him has shifted once again. According to reports from the NFL Network's Cameron Wolfe, the Dolphins have moved Zach Wilson back up to the QB2 spot, pushing Quinn Ewers to 3rd string. It's a subtle move, but it speaks volumes about where Miami's coaching staff stands right now. They trust Tua, they believe in his leadership, and they want stability behind him. Wilson, the former Jets quarterback, has the experience, and that seems to matter more than potential at this stage. Ewers still has time to develop, and he'll need it. The rookie's physical tools are undeniable, but the transition from college to the pros is no small task. After all, This isn't Austin anymore. This is the NFL, and patience is a luxury few get. Ewer's story is still being written. Coming out of Texas, he was a phenomenon, the golden-haired gunslinger with a rocket arm and the swagger to match. He led the Longhorns to back-to-back college football playoff semifinals, and even though they didn't win a title, his reputation as a gamer was set. When the Dolphins took him in the 7th round, it felt like a steal, a low-risk, high-upside move. But reality hits hard in the pros. You're no longer the face of the franchise. You're the guy holding a clipboard, studying film, and waiting for a window that may never open. And when it does, you have to be ready, because in this league, opportunities are rare and fleeting. The Dolphins, for their part, seem focused on the present. They're 5-3, riding a convincing win, and facing a huge Thursday night matchup against Baltimore. The Ravens are one of the AFC's most disciplined and physical teams, and Tua will need to be sharp again. Baltimore's defense thrives on pressure, disguising coverages, and forcing mistakes, the exact kind of challenge that tripped him up against the Browns. But there's something different about Tua right now. Maybe it's the visor, maybe it's the renewed confidence, or maybe it's just a quarterback rediscovering his rhythm after a midseason stumble. Either way, this game will be a major test not just for him, but for a Dolphins team trying to prove it belongs among the AFC elite. What stands out about Tua's journey is how much of it has been about resilience. From the devastating hip injury in college that nearly ended his career before it began, to the concussion scares that cast doubt on his future, he's had every reason to crumble. But he hasn't. Instead, he's evolved, quietly, steadily, with the kind of poise that makes teammates rally around him. He's become more than just a quarterback for Miami. He's their identity. The calm in the storm, the steady voice in the huddle, the example of how to respond when life, or football, punches you in the face, or in this case, the eye. And that's what makes this visor story more than just a quirky subplot. It's symbolic of who Tua is. The visor started as a necessity, a way to deal with an unexpected problem. But now it's become a choice, a subtle statement that says, I've been through worse. I can see clearly now. It's funny how sports work like that. One small thing, one minor adjustment, can turn into a rallying point for a team and its fanbase. The Dolphins locker room loves it. The fans are already calling it the Tua tint. And if he keeps playing like this, you can bet the visor will become part of his legacy. As for Quinn Ewers, his time will come. Every great backup story in the NFL starts with patience. Right now, his job is to learn, to absorb, to prepare. He's got a veteran ahead of him who knows the ups and downs of this league better than most, and if he's smart, he'll take notes. Ewers has the arm talent, no question, but the NFL is as much mental as it is physical. The Dolphins didn't draft him to be a star right away. They drafted him because they saw something they could mold. And who better to learn from than a guy like Tua, whose career has been a masterclass in perseverance. So as Miami prepares for another primetime showcase, all eyes, no pun intended, are on Tua Tagovailoa. The visor glints under the stadium lights. The Dolphins' offense hums with confidence, and for the first time in a while, it feels like everything is clicking again. The road ahead won't be easy. Baltimore looms large, the AFC playoff picture is tight, and every week brings a new challenge. But if Sunday's game was any indication, Tua's got his swagger back. The Dolphins have their leader back, and maybe, just maybe, a simple piece of tinted glass will go down as the turning point of their season. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world is in shock today as one of the most sensational trades in recent memory just went down, sending waves across the league and especially shaking up the NFC South. In what can only be described as a mega lightning trade, tight end Kyle Pitts is officially a member of the Miami Dolphins, leaving his former team and fans reeling. Sources close to team executives and league insiders confirm that the Dolphins have secured Pitts in exchange for not one, but 2 first-round picks. Yes, you heard that correctly. 2 coveted first-rounders, signaling Miami's aggressive push for immediate contention and a statement that they are all in this season. This is not just a player acquisition. It's a bold gamble, a move that screams urgency and ambition from the Dolphins front office, and it's creating a storm of speculation about the ripple effects across the entire NFC South. The very mention of Kyle Pitts in Dolphins colors is enough to make defensive coordinators across the league start rethinking schemes and coverages. Pitts, who has been widely regarded as one of the most talented tight ends of his generation, is no stranger to making an impact on the field, both as a receiver and as a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses. His combination of size, speed, and route-running ability makes him virtually unguardable in certain scenarios. And now, with the Dolphins' offensive system, there is the tantalizing possibility that he could operate at an entirely different level. Analysts are already theorizing how Miami will integrate Pitts into their passing game. Will he line up in the slot to exploit mismatches against linebackers? Will he stay on the outside and dominate in contested catches? The speculation is endless, and the excitement among Dolphins fans is palpable. Meanwhile, the NFC South, home to teams that have long struggled to contain elite tight ends, is in full-blown panic mode. Imagine the shockwaves this trade sends to franchises like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers, and even the Atlanta Falcons. The entire division now has to prepare for a talent level that didn't exist in Miami until today. Defensive coordinators are likely calling emergency meetings, scrambling to analyze game film, and trying to devise a strategy to slow down Pitts without exposing themselves to catastrophic mismatches elsewhere on the field. It's the kind of headache that comes when a team is suddenly elevated into a completely different tier of offensive threat. The Dolphins didn't just acquire a player. They potentially redefined the balance of power in the division. And that's exactly why the rumors and whispers have been turning into heated debate on sports radio, social media, and inside league circles. The deal itself, exchanging 2 first-round picks, also raises eyebrows about the Dolphins' front office strategy. While it is certainly an expensive price to pay, it demonstrates a fearless approach. Miami is not waiting for the perfect draft slot or hoping for long-term development. Instead, they are aggressively stacking talent in the present, signaling that the window to compete at the highest level is now. Some critics might call it reckless, pointing out the potential consequences of giving up 2 first-rounders. But in the high-stakes, win-now mentality of the NFL, this move is pure statement-making. It's audacious, it's headline-grabbing, and it immediately changes the narrative around Miami as a franchise. No longer are they simply competitive. They are now legitimate contenders who are willing to put their resources on the line to chase glory. From a player perspective, Kyle Pitts landing in South Beach is a dream scenario for many observers. Pitts has long been linked to teams with dynamic offenses, and Miami's arsenal, led by a quarterback with arm talent and a supporting cast of speedy playmakers, seems like the perfect environment for him to thrive. Rumors suggest that Pitts was intrigued by the opportunity to be a focal point in a high-octane offense rather than just another piece in a crowded system. The Dolphins' coaching staff is reportedly ecstatic, seeing a generational talent who can elevate not only the passing game, but also the entire team's profile. Imagine the possibilities. Pitts lining up across from some of the league's most formidable defensive backs, creating opportunities that could redefine statistical expectations for tight ends in the modern NFL. Every pass, every route, every contested catch now carries the weight of speculation about how far Miami can go this season. Of course, no trade of this magnitude comes without controversy. Fans of Pitt's former team are understandably devastated. The reactions on social media range from disbelief to outrage, as supporters struggle to comprehend why a player of his caliber was allowed to leave in exchange for draft capital. Meanwhile, NFL analysts are dissecting every angle, questioning whether Pitts can truly make an immediate impact or if the price paid is too steep. The whispers and rumors have only fueled the fire, with some insiders hinting at internal disagreements within the former franchise's front office about the wisdom of letting him go. It's a classic scenario of risk and reward, and only time will tell if Miami's bold gamble pays dividends on the field or if the division will ultimately be more challenging than anticipated. And let's not ignore the broader implications for the NFC South. With Pitts now in Miami, the Buccaneers, Saints, Panthers, and Falcons are suddenly facing a reconfigured landscape. Games that were once thought to be winnable may now carry a higher degree of difficulty, forcing teams to rethink strategies, roster constructions, and even coaching philosophies. Analysts are already projecting how opposing defenses might double-cover Pitts, shift linebackers, or implement hybrid schemes in an attempt to contain him. The domino effect of one player moving divisions is significant, and the chatter around the league is intense. Every team in the South has to acknowledge that a new, formidable threat has arrived, and that alone makes this trade one of the most talked-about stories of the NFL offseason. Off the field, the marketing and hype potential of this trade cannot be overstated. Kyle Pitts in a Dolphins uniform is not just a football story, it's a spectacle. Merchandise, fan engagement, ticket sales, and media coverage are all expected to surge. The Dolphins brand has been elevated overnight, and South Beach is buzzing with anticipation. Social media platforms are ablaze with fans speculating about plays, touchdowns, and highlight reels. Analysts are already comparing this moment to some of the most impactful trades in recent memory, pointing out that the combination of talent, timing, and division-wide disruption makes this a headline-grabbing event for months to come. The narrative practically writes itself. A young superstar moves to a new team, shaking up a competitive division and potentially altering the trajectory of the franchise's championship aspirations. As the league absorbs the reality of this move, speculation about Miami's long-term strategy continues to swirl. Are the Dolphins simply mortgaging the future for immediate results? Or is there a larger blueprint at play, one that balances draft picks, free agent signings, and strategic trades to build a contender capable of sustained success? The whispers coming from league insiders suggest that this is more than a one-off splash. It could be the opening salvo in a series of aggressive moves aimed at establishing Miami as a dominant force in the AFC for years to come. In the meantime, fans, analysts, and rival teams will be watching closely, analyzing every snap, every formation, and every matchup as Miami integrates one of the league's most coveted talents. The drama, speculation, and excitement are only just beginning, and the NFL world has been handed a story that will dominate headlines, discussions, and debates well into the season. In the end, this trade is more than just a roster change. It's a seismic event, a bold statement, and a rumor that has transformed into reality. Kyle Pitts in Dolphins colors is now official, and the NFL landscape, particularly in the NFC South, will never look the same. Every fan, analyst, and competitor now has to adjust, anticipate, and perhaps even recalibrate expectations. As Miami prepares to showcase their new weapon in South Beach, the question on everyone's mind is simple yet profound. Can Kyle Pitts help the Dolphins not just compete, but dominate? The buzz, the speculation, and the excitement are at an all-time high, and the answer will unfold on the gridiron, one electrifying play at a time. This is more than a trade. It's a turning point, a rumor realized, and the start of a new chapter that promises drama, spectacle, and unforgettable moments in the NFL. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.